following program is a WIC, Women in Community Cablecasting production.
Welcome to At Ease with Cooking. I'm Bonnie Kerschke, your host. This evening, our topic is whole foods cooking, and our guest demonstrator is Diane Carlson of 5 Seasons Whole Foods Cookery. Diane is going to begin this evening by preparing a carrot non-dairy cream soup. Hi, Diane.
Hi, Bonnie.
Great to have you with us this evening to prepare this wonderful, good food for us. Perhaps you could begin by telling us what whole foods cooking really is.
Well, in the style of whole foods cooking, we're choosing foods that are as close to nature as possible with all of the edible parts intact. When we're eating foods that are complete, our bodies feel satisfied and we are free of cravings. When we're eating foods that are just partial, it sets us up for a deficiency and our body will actually go looking for those missing pieces, and that's really where the cravings come in.
Oh, very, very interesting. How about this wonderful soup you're going to prepare for us? Perhaps you could tell us what ingredients you're going to use.
Okay. The style of cooking that I do, I use no dairy, white sugar, or white flour. Tonight we'll be doing a process for a non-dairy cream soup. So for this process, what we'll need is 1 onion, whether it's a Spanish onion, a leek, scallions, or whatever, but 1 onion. We'll need a good oil, and again, this is a type of oil where there's no chemicals or preservatives in. It's called canola oil. Then we'll need about 1.5 pounds of vegetables. Now tonight we're using a combination of carrots and zucchini. You could use corn, you could use totally zucchini, you could use broccoli, whatever you have on hand.
Sounds wonderfully versatile.
It is.
Yes.
Then we need some water. And then for our thickening, because we aren't using any dairy, we're actually using a grain. It's oatmeal, whole oats. And the reason that this works is your oats have the highest amount of natural fat in them. And the oats, after they cook for about 20 minutes, start to make the liquid a little bit cloudy. The fat combines with the starch in the vegetable and gives it a nice grounding effect, a real sort of a fat effect that normally you would get from either cream or some other type of dairy.
Oh, great.
Then we'll be adding some seasonings. We're using sea salt, again, a whole foods product where we don't have any chemicals. In your regular table salt, there's actually sugar in it and a number of other chemicals. Then some type of seasoning. You could use your favorite herb. I like to use a vegetable seasoning salt called Umaboshi. Then we'll be letting the soup cook for about a half an hour, 40 minutes until the vegetables are soft. Then we'll be pureeing it all in a blender, which is real important to getting a nice creamy soup. Then at the end, we'll be garnishing it actually with a cooked beet. We're going to shred that on a shredder like this. And then we're going to add our final seasoning, something called Umaboshi Vinegar, which I call the MSG of the whole foods world. It's actually Japanese plums that are fermented in sea salt for up to a year, so it gives a salty, sour taste, so it just lifts the flavors up. It's just incredible. The problem I have with my students is that they want to use it on everything. It's so good.
I've never seen that product before, so that's going to be really interesting.
Umaboshi Vinegar.
Great. Okay, how are we going to, because what we're going to do is we're going to start this and then we're going to let it cook while we prepare another recipe.
Right.
All right, so
first what you want to do is get your pan hot. If you add oil to a cold pan, we have a tendency to use more oil. It sits in the center and it doesn't spread out right away. So get your pan a little bit warm. Then we're going to be adding our oil. Now you can use, this for instance here is a no-taste oil. We can tell it's a no-taste oil because it's a light yellow color. You could also use an extra virgin olive oil or a sesame oil would also be good.
Oh, this is really the oil that's the lowest in saturated fat, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct. That and also your extra virgin olive oil is real popular right now for that.
Oh, terrific.
So we're going to add our oil into our pan. And just get that spread out over the bottom. Now this soup will be pureed, so you don't have to be real concerned about this, how it's going to look, because we won't be seeing the vegetables in the end. So just so that they're bite-sized pieces.
And now it'll puree a little bit easier in your blender.
Now when you add your vegetables, you want to be sure and coat them with the oil right away. If you don't, then the water, the liquid that's already in the vegetable will evaporate out, and you have a tendency to burn your vegetables much easier that way.
Good
so be
tip.
Sure you just coat it real well with the oil. Now if you're doing this at home, while your onion is sauteing, you can take your vegetables and start chopping those. You should saute the onions till they get to be just a little bit soft and translucent.
All right. It smells so good. I know there's always something about onions in a recipe that just, I don't know, it makes it smell and taste so good.
And we always start out with the onions. They give a nice base, and it gives a chance for the bitter oils in the onions to actually cook out. Okay, now with our vegetables, whether using carrots, zucchini, or your corn, whatever you choose, again, cut those up in bite-sized pieces. Tonight we're using nice organic carrots. When they are organic without any sprays or pesticides on, you can choose whether or not you want to peel them or not.
Now, if we wanted to use the regular ones because we don't have a health food store near us, it's still going to be good for us, isn't it?
Definitely. Sure, if you have a choice of eating a nice homemade soup or buying maybe something out of a can, I would definitely go with just the regular carrots and not get all caught up in whether they're organic or not.
Where do you buy your vegetables?
Generally, I frequent the food co-ops, or many of the major food store chains now have really wonderful organic vegetables.
So that would be an option if you don't live near a co-op.
That's right.
Terrific.
Sure. It takes a long time for people to really change their style of eating, so any changes that we can make right away are going to be a benefit to us. So even if it's just changing our oils that we use, or to organic vegetables, whatever.
Now, how much carrots did you use?
It's about 1.5 pounds of vegetables is what you can figure.
Okay, so you've got a combination of the two then
So
to
we
make
have about 1.5 pounds. So what I've done here is just, again, stir this around real well to make sure that the oil has coated all the vegetables, and you can see that they're starting to sweat, and this is real important. This makes all of the vegetables sealed with the oil, and it makes them nice and sweet. If we were to just put these into boiling water, we'd really have boiled vegetables, and they would really taste different. Okay, now we're going to add our zucchini. And again, mix that around.
That is going to be a wonderful color soup with that orange, with that beet garnish. Oh, it will be
nice
just
contrast.
beautiful.
And digestion really starts the minute you look at your plate, so it's really important that you make a beautiful presentation.
Yes, yes, we do eat with our eyes first.
Okay, now we're going to add our water. And generally with about 1.5 pounds of vegetables, it's about 5 to 6 cups of water. If you like your soup a little thicker, you can add less water. Make this look like your type of soup, however that is for you. So we're going to turn our heat up and just bring this up to a boil here. Now what I like to do is actually reserve some of the water towards the end. If I've added too much water in the beginning, it's hard to really cook down the soup. So sometimes I'll just reserve a little bit, and I can always add more water when I'm blending the soup a little bit later. Now once I've added the water, I'll add the oats while the water is still cold. We'll add that in, just mix it right in. Now, should you forget to add the oats and your water's boiling away, your soup's cooking, and you forget, just add the oats in anyway, but you really need to be sure and cook that soup for still 20 minutes because that's how long it takes the oatmeal to cook.
What kind of oatmeal did you use?
I use rolled oats.
Rolled oats.
Rolled oats. Not the quick kind, although that probably would work. I generally just get the rolled oats.
All right.
Now at this point, you can choose to add a little bit of sea salt. Just going to use a little couple pinches here. We're going to bring this just up to start to a boil. And as soon as it starts to boil, we'll turn it down and just simmer it and just let it cook until the vegetables are soft. Then we'll come back a little bit later and we'll puree the soup.
Oh, that's wonderful. So we're going to let that cook. And while that's taking place, we're going to have Diane prepare her black turtle bean salad. Diane, this salad sounds absolutely wonderful. Why don't you tell us what's going to go into it?
Okay, in tonight's black bean salad, we're going to be combining beans that need to be soaked and cooked along with some nice, crisp, fresh vegetables and a wonderful dressing that you can use in either a grain salad or a bean salad. It's very, very versatile.
Great.
One of the things to remember when you're cooking with legumes or dried beans like this, many of them really do need to be soaked. Now you can do that first by measuring your beans out. One thing to remember is to be sure and sort through the beans first. And I do that by just putting them on a plate like this, looking for stones and sometimes clumps of dirt, and I push those back.
Okay.
And I look through some more, and especially with black beans, because the stones can sometimes be real dark, you have to be real careful, and if you were to miss one, you could bite down on a stone while you're
there
having a
goes
salad.
the corner of your tooth or your
Very
filling,
costly,
right?
yes. So we're just going to sort through those and make sure that there aren't any stones or anything else in it. Then what we'll do is we'll take those sorted beans, you'll put those in a bowl and cover it with water with at least 2 inches above and leave those soak overnight for about 8 hours, or in the morning you could do it before you go to work. But you want the water at least 2 inches above because those beans will expand, and if they expand through the top of the water, some of those beans won't get done as quickly as others.
Oh, all right. Good.
Another way to do it is to take those beans, put them into your pot, cover it with the 2 inches of water, bring it to a boil, let it boil for about 5 minutes, turn the heat off, take the beans off of the heat and let them sit for about an hour and a half, drain that water off, put new water on, and then continue to cook them. It's called a quick soak.
Yes, that's really great, especially if you decide that day you want to have the beans,
And you
the
have
bean
got that
salad.
extra
Right,
hour.
right. Now, would that be true with all beans? You would treat them the same if you were doing kidney beans or some other
You
type?
could use kidney beans for the salad, pinto, the black beans. There are some beans that you don't have to soak, but generally split peas, lentils, those sort of things. But those would be the type of bean that would more dissolve. You wouldn't necessarily want to use those for a bean salad.
Bean salad,
Right.
right. Oh, great. So then now you're going to have to put more water on them
Okay.
and cook them, right?
After these is soaked, you want to be sure to discard that water. You put them into your pot, again cover them with a good couple inches of water, and this is very important when you're cooking a bean salad where you want the beans to retain their shape. You want to add the salt at the beginning of the cooking time, okay? If you were making a soup where you wanted the beans to get really, really soft and almost dissolve, then you add the salt at the end of the cooking time. The salt actually retards them from getting real, real soft. It takes a longer time to cook them
What
that
a
way.
wonderful tip.
So add your salt at the beginning of the cooking time when you're making a bean salad. So let your beans cook for maybe about 40 minutes until they're just soft. These have cooked for about 40 minutes. We've drained them well. You can put those in a bowl, and then you want to prepare your salad dressing. Now the salad dressing that we're using tonight is a wonderful basic one. It's called 2221. It's real easy to remember. We're using 2 tablespoons of shoyu, which is a natural food soy sauce without any additives or chemicals, without any sugars in. We're using a brown rice vinegar. We're using extra virgin olive oil, and then just 1 part of a whole grain mustard. You could use Pomeroy, whatever you like. So we're going to take these ingredients, the 2 tablespoons of the whole food soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of the brown rice vinegar, 2 tablespoons of the extra virgin olive oil, and our mustard. Now if you don't have a blender, you can certainly put this in a bowl and whip it up also.
Great.
So I'll put this in our blender cup.
I'm going to move these out of the way for you.
Just get that blended really well.
What a handy little container you have there, just the right size for salad
And
dressing.
it comes with a wonderful cap so
Okay.
that you can store your reserve. Okay, then we'll take about half of the dressing, pour that onto your black beans, and toss that. Now, if you're going to be serving your salad shortly after making it, I would put the marinade on while the beans are still warm because they'll absorb the flavor much quicker.
All right.
Now, if the salad is going to sit in the refrigerator overnight, you can have your beans cool. Okay, so we've got the marinade on.